there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another program in our series, Global Connections. It's an honor always to have my guest that I have today, and he comes in almost on an annual basis. He is, of course, Elmore, Leonard, the famous author, American author, whom some have said ought to be getting a Nobel Prize for literature in America. Dutch, Leonard Dutch.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks, Jonathan.
You've written now 44 books.
I'm on 44 right now.
You're on 44 books right now. This is the latest book. I read it over, and I understand now the title. But when I first looked at it, I thought, road dogs? What are road dogs? And I thought, well, that's a good question to ask you. What are road dogs?
Well, I think people will suspect maybe it's a motorcycle gang. That's what it sounds like to me.
That's what I thought before I read it.
But in our research, we found out that road dogs is a prison expression. It's two guys who watch each other's back, who are careful of, and they'll whatever they do, they'll do it together. If one guy gets into trouble, the other guy will follow him in and help him out. And that way they're never alone to be picked on by any of the other gangs in prison.
And you know what? That makes a lot of sense. Because, by the way, I want you to know, I take notes. Whenever I read a book, I take notes at the back because I want to be able to go back and remember what's in the book. And here my notes are all written right at the back of the book. And I note, for example, that you have 1, 2, 3, 4. You've got 4 or 5 characters that are actually from other novels. Out of Sight, La Brava.
Riding the Rap.
Riding the Rap, yes. You've got all of these characters, but this is relatively rare, isn't it, for you to
Well,
do
it
that?
is for me. There are, because I've never wanted a continuing character. I thought I'll become bored with him, and I won't be able to really keep him going with any new interest. But I've had characters who have appeared in a previous book.
Like Out of Sight.
Yes. Well, I was going to say George Clooney. Jack Foley.
Okay, Jack Foley.
Played by George Clooney in Out of Sight.
Right.
Jack Foley is brought back
right.
in Road Dogs, along with Kundo Ray, who was a Cuban gangster from La Brava, and Don Navarro, who's a psychic from Riding the Rap.
Yeah.
Because Kundo Ray and Don Navarro, I thought I liked them a lot, and I didn't spend enough time with them. I mean, I thought they should have a bigger part in another book, and so they do in Road Dogs.
Now, when you, I think I've asked you this question before. When you actually decide you're going to do this, you may or may not have a title in mind. Do you decide, okay, now is the time for me to bring back those characters and give them a bigger role?
That was my first thought, yeah. The title came a little later, but if you don't think of a title by the time you're finished with your manuscript, you're in trouble. It's got to come out of what you've been writing about.
Yes. And so, but in this case, yours was right at the very beginning then.
Yeah, it was.
As you look over these 43 published books, are there any that stand out especially in your mind?
Well, I don't know. There's some titles that always come to mind. What's your favorite? You know, something like that. I said, well, Freaky Deaky. I like Freaky Deaky because of the...
I've got that one at home. I love the title. Freaky Deaky.
And it's the period that it takes place in the early 70s, late 60s, 70s, in the hippie period.
Sure.
You know, and it's about hippies who really didn't make it, who went to prison, and they come out of prison, and their world is different. There are no more hippies. There are, but they don't really see
Yeah.
any movements.
Yeah.
You know. So they missed the boat.
When you write about these places, and I know this is something that our director wondered because we were talking about it earlier, when you go to, or rather, when you write about places like prisons and so on, do you ever go there?
Yes, of course. I've gone. I went to Glades Correctional for another book before, and that was for Out of Sight, which this character Jack Foley was when he was in prison.
Right.
And then he escapes for a couple of weeks, and then he goes back. He's to serve 30 years in the beginning of this book.
Sure.
So
fortunately, he gets out of it. So you had been there.
I did visit Glades Correctional near well, it's right on the edge of the Everglades in Florida, like due west of West Palm Beach.
West Palm Beach.
Yeah.
But very different.
much different.
When you went there, did you actually meet a lot of the prisoners?
I didn't.
You
Not
didn't?
that one, but I did. I went to Angola in Louisiana, and I did meet the fellow that put out the newspaper.
Okay.
The Angolite. The Angolite's quite a paper.
Really?
It's a lot of news in it, a lot
Prison
of activity
newspaper.
in it. Yeah, they have a
We just don't think about a prison newspaper, you know.
No, they have a Dale Carnegie Club at Angola, and they have baseball games. They have championship baseball games, and rodeos. They're big on rodeos too.
Did the prisoners meet you?
Did they what?
Did the prisoners meet you?
Well, a few of them did.
few of them.
Yes.
What was the reaction?
Well, the first time I sat down with the editor of the newspaper, who was in there for life, and they said at that time he'll never get out, and a young black man, and with me was someone from my publisher, and there was a photographer, and there was a writer. There was a Time magazine writer along. I had this entourage. We marched in and sit down with the newspaper editor, and the Time writer got his pad out and was ready to take notes. I didn't take notes, and he said, "You're the writer, aren't you?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Well, how come he's taking notes and you're not?" I said, "Well, I haven't heard anything yet to write down, see."
I'm soaking up atmosphere, that's what it is.
So it was funny. I said, "All right, what do you call guards?" I'll start asking you questions. "What do you call the guards here?" And the editor said, "We call them sir." So I thought, we got to get past this.
Oh yeah, sure.
And we did soon enough. We began writing about the social atmosphere in this prison. And just before, like say in the 30s, during that time, it was a very, very mean prison. It was a bad prison run mostly by the inmates, and and it's also as a farm prison. They'd march them out to the fields every morning, and they'd work it, and they'd pick cotton or some vegetables, you know, and then they'd march them back. They spent more time being counted and marched back and forth than they did actually working. That was an observation I made, and I also went to Broward Correctional, which was a woman's prison in Florida, because I forgot what book I was writing, but my main character was going to be in prison when she comes out and does stand-up comedy, and she's practicing her stand-up in prison. And the and the prisoners, the other inmates, they don't think she's very good.
No future at all.
But I had they asked the inmates, would you come and talk to me, and there's 15 of them volunteered, and I think they all were in for murder. I know several of them in that room had killed their husbands. One killed her husband with a frying pan, with an iron frying pan, hit him over the head. And she was kind of the mother of this group because she was older than everybody else, you know.
Now, do they read your books?
No. I don't think they had the opportunity. Although I did see a couple of my books in the
library.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So if they don't read your books, then you're really a stranger to them.
Well, my books aren't lurid enough, or they don't have enough plot. You know, books that I think books that are the most popular are very plot heavy.
Yeah.
Readers like plot.
Yes.
You know, and plot I just sort of let it come along. It's more the characters.
Let me follow that up. You've written 43 books. Do you find that the sales are going down or up, or they stay about the same all the time?
They stayed about the same up until the last two books. Then they began to dip a little bit. And they said, well, you know why? These are historical novels that you wrote. I said, historical? One takes place in World War II. I was in it. I was around then. Another one takes place in the 1930s. Well, I was around then too. You know, I said I can't think of these books as historical if I can remember everything that was going on. You know.
Yeah. But they are. Okay, I understand what they say what they mean by historical, because they're comparing that to things that are happening today in the world and the spy business and all the rest of it, this kind of a thing.
Right.
But do you find that now, for instance, at this point, and I don't know if you know, I mean, at this point, is this one doing well?
It's doing.
Compared to Out of Sight.
Oh, compared to Out of Sight. Out of Sight did fairly well, but in the last couple of years, because Out of Sight was, I don't know, 95 or something like that. Mm-hmm. But this is doing 33% better than my last book.
At this time, is that right?
Yeah.
When people come to see you, and I know that you give talks very often at libraries or schools or whatever it is, what would you say is the most common question that you're asked?
Well, there's always someone, especially in letters, how do you get an agent? And this writer thinks that that's the end. That if you have an agent, he will sell your book, you know. You don't have to worry about how well it's written, because he'll tell you how. He'll criticize your book, and then he'll sell it. But a good agent doesn't concern himself with the plot or the characters or giving you advice.
Instead.
But he's got to be able to sell it, or else. But the thing is, when you do approach a reputable agent, it's like having a first read at a publishing company. He's not going to read it unless he thinks there's a chance of selling it. I mean, you might have a name going in with him. Now, my son Peter had never sold a book. 2 years ago, he wrote a book called Quiver, and he sent it to my agent in New York, and he sold it to St. Martin's. And then he wrote another book called Trust Me, and he sold that one to St. Martin's. So, and he's got a pretty good sales record counting Europe. He's in He's in France and England, and I'm not sure what other countries. But he's doing pretty well. And he started when he was about 56 years old. See, I started when I was 26 years old, out of the service.
I mean, what would make him? I've got to follow through on this, by the way, and see if I can get him in to talk about this, especially since he has sales in these other countries. What is it? Is it because he writes about these other countries?
Well,
I mean, you don't, because I know that we talked once and...
No, his are set here. They're set here, but he's selling over there. And his third book, his third book is finished. He's just sent that in. His fourth book will take place in, his third book takes place in Rome, because he went to school in Rome for a couple of semesters. And then the next book takes place in Germany, I think. And so all of the reviews mention me, that he's my son. Well, he can't escape that unless he changes his name, you know. He's going to be...
Well, his first name is what?
Peter.
Peter.
Peter
so
Leonard.
He just goes by Peter Leonard?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they know he's my son, because they say, well, he writes just like his dad, see? Well, he doesn't. It's just that we're alike in our personalities and in our point of view and the way we see things.
Well, what's your reaction? Here your 56-year-old son comes in and says, oh, by the way, Dad, I'm writing a book and I'd like you to have a look at it. Or I've got an idea for a book. What do you think? What was your reaction?
He started out about, say, 5 or 6 years ago writing screenplays, because he thought that would be the fastest.
That's what you did, right?
No, I didn't start with screenplays. I wanted to sell my books to the movies and then write the scripts, but no, I didn't start that way.
Okay.
But he started with screenplays because he thought they were easier than books, which they are. They are. You don't have to show any writing ability to say interior bedroom night, you know.
Okay.
So, but I told him, I said, you're wasting your time. To write original screenplays, you have to be in Hollywood, and you have to know somebody.
Know somebody in order to get
in the business.
But.
Yeah, or write it as a book first and then hope to sell it through an agent. So that's what he's doing. But he has caught on so quickly to how to write a suspense book, and he's quite good at it.
Were you surprised? I mean, 56 is...
I was surprised that that his books are so professionally done. They don't really need much revising at all. In fact, the first one, the first book, I read it and I said, all I would do would be to move this scene from here to here. That's all, just to switch it around and move it a little bit more into the plot of the book. It's because it's something that happened before. But don't start with it. Come to it a little bit later. And he did that, and that was it.
Does he respond well to your advice?
Oh, yes. Of course. He better. Yes, and he's read all of mine.
Yeah.
And he's read my rules. And he agrees with my rules, my 10 rules. You have to have, you can't have more than 10, you understand?
Okay.
10 rules.
Like commandments.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, now when you say your 10 rules, are those published rules?
Oh, yes, yes. I'll tell you, in the year 2000, I was the guest of honor for a VoucherCon. VoucherCon is a meeting of mystery writers and also publishers, some, who they have a VoucherCon every year, and that's named for, I forgot his first name, Boucher, who was a critic, and specialized in mysteries and crime books. And so I was the guest. That afternoon, I wrote my 10 rules. Like the first one is never open with weather. So anyway, I wrote the 10 rules, and then at the end of my talk, I recited them. They were all on a yellow sheet of paper in longhand. And I came off the stage, and a fellow came up to me and he said, "Can I have that paper?" I said, "Yeah," and I handed it to him because it didn't mean anything. It wasn't worth anything to me.
But now here he has an original manuscript by Elmore Leonard.
Yes, but he sold it. He offered it on eBay last year for $500. He should have asked a lot more. And my researcher bought it. And
Your researcher bought it?
Because I don't know, he's
Smart.
always roaming around through the internet, the internet. And he bought it and gave it to me. And that was
So
it.
came right back in a circle.
Well, then, just about that time, my 10 rules were about to be published. The 10 rules take up 94 pages in the book because they're just, like a line on one page, and then you turn it, and then
What is the name of the book?
Elmore Leonard's 10 Rules of Writing. Oh,
Is
I
that
thought you
right?
might have had it.
No. I've got to get it, obviously.
Yeah.
So it's available in the bookstore?
Yeah.
I mean, I just go in and ask for Elmore Leonard's 10 Rules. There you go. All you budding writers, you'd better get down to the bookstore as fast as possible before all the copies are gone.
Well, it was over a year ago that I wrote it, and I mean it was for sale then. It's a thick book. I mean the pages are so thick. They made a mistake. It should be a nice, thin, easy to go through book, but it isn't. It was printed in China. And that was a mistake.
Oh, okay. Now, you've won a lot of prizes, different prizes. Which of these prizes really meant the most to you?
Well, I think the Mystery Writers of America, one book won best of that year. But then I'm not sure what they call it. Your writing. I forget what they call it. Right. Get a little. Not Oscar. You get a little.
Statuette.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of
a writer.
Yes.
Okay. Shakespeare or something.
No, the mystery writer.
The mystery writer. Okay. Of America. Oh, you're the mystery writer of the year.
Yeah, well, but this is for your work, your lifetime of your work.
So it's like a lifetime Oscar.
Yeah.
Rather than for one work.
Well, I did get the one work, and then I got another one. Yeah.
But then the other one is more valuable because that's for a lifetime of work.
Yeah, right.
So I mean, it's a little bit like Cecil B. DeMille getting his final Oscar or something.
Exactly.
Now, when you get that, I mean, do you really get a thrill out of it? I mean, you write so many books.
I did. I got a thrill out of it, and I got a thrill out of the year I won because I beat out the English writer Le Carré.
Le Carré, yes.
He was up too, and I beat him.
And you beat Le Carré?
Yeah.
Have you ever thought of yourself in terms of the Nobel Prize in Literature?
No, of course not.
Oh,
I think you have to be. Of course not. I think you have to be an obscure writer.
I wonder if it's a certain kind of writing. Yeah, I mean, it would seem to me that as I read all of the articles about you, which come out quite frequently, and critics then review your books and so on, they all say that you are a master of the American idiom of language. And you yourself say that you're less interested in plot than you are in the actual dialogue and socialization, as it were. I wonder if, when it comes to the Nobel Prize, they don't look more at the literature itself rather than the total work, dialogue and all.
I think they look at literary writing, the sound of it, the words coming from the author,
Okay.
describing what's going on. But I think literature is more telling than showing. And I always want to show by example in the book.
Okay.
Who's who and what they're doing and so on. And that and the dialogue, I try and use dialogue as much as possible because it's the sound of the person who's in it.
Yeah.
No matter whose point of view it is, it's always a sound of that from the book. And that's the way I move the story, with dialogue or thinking about, which is the same thing if you're in somebody's head. And all my people are not that educated. They're easy to understand, you know.
So you're not, I mean, you're not like a Dickens or someone who is into description, wants to describe everything, to paint a visual picture. Instead, yours really is an auditory experience.
Well, it's letting the characters tell the story. They're not telling the story, but it's letting the characters live the story. Yeah.
Live the story. Okay, I noticed, for example, in here, the name Karmanos
Yes.
popped up. Is that a coincidence?
No, Peter Karmanos, he bid on getting his wife's name in the book. Now, he bid at a fundraiser.
A fundraiser.
I think it was a fundraiser for his company.
Yes.
But he paid $40,000 to get her name in the book. Then
Okay.
he wanted to be in the book too. So in another auction, he only had to pay $5,000 to get in the book. So then, because we're talking about kind of spiritualism here,
Yes.
the Don Navarro being a psychic, the woman is being visited, Mrs. Karmanos, that's her name in the book. She's being visited by the ghost of her husband. He's dead.
You know, we have so much to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, and our time is always limited. I wanted to pursue that a little more, but I will the next time.
All right.
And his next book coming out is going to be called Djibouti. I can't wait for that. So thank you so much for being with us, Dutch. It's always a pleasure talking to you. And join us again. Remember, think globally, but act locally. Goodbye.